What are these mysterious and stunning shapes carved into the wheat fields of England? Could they be living proof of an alien existence here on Earth? Are these crop circles some form of communication from another world? Many believe these remarkably precise patterns could be some kind of warning, but a warning of what and from whom? We'll attempt to find out in this chapter of the UFO Diaries. In the late 1980s, something truly amazing began to happen in the green fields of England. Reports came in of sightings such as this: silvery discs flying or hovering low over the open countryside, and apparently these objects were seen in great numbers.
The town of Warminster has gained the reputation as the UFO capital of England. The sheer number of sightings in that area has been nothing short of staggering. One particular phenomenon we've been watching with interest has been the sightings of a spherical object that seems to glow amber, orange, or gold. There have been quite a number of sightings of that kind.
And such UFO sightings were often only the beginning of the mystery. According to eyewitness accounts, with the first rays of the next morning's sun came astonishing evidence of the previous night's encounter with the unknown. Someone or something left an area of the field flattened, pressed down into perfect geometric shapes.
The crops are not cut, they are not broken. They've been carefully and systematically swirled flat to the ground.
And over the years, these patterns have revealed themselves to be perfect circles, or ovals, or circles with rings, and sometimes circles, rings, and satellites. If there is a connection between the UFOs and the mysterious markings, the so-called crop circles may constitute the most positive evidence yet for the existence of alien visitors to our planet. But are we sure that the crop circles and UFOs are related?
Almost from the beginning, crop circles have appeared in association with the report of aerial phenomena. In the most extreme cases, people have reported beams of light touching ground level, where crop circles have been later discovered, or indeed in many cases, the little balls of orange light dancing over the field, and on occasions, literally appearing in the fields. These sightings have often been followed by discoveries of the crop circles.
But is the connection between the aerial phenomenon and the crop markings purely circumstantial evidence? Or are there other reasons to believe that these symbols in the field were made by extraterrestrial beings? Does the answer lie in these sites where witnesses say UFOs have landed? Stan Gordon is one of the world's leading authorities on alleged UFO landing sites.
There have been a number of ground traces that have been found both here in Pennsylvania and throughout the world. Some of these traces indicate circular areas, ring-shaped areas, ovals, irregular sites. In some cases, you have the top of the area that's been burnt and charred. In some cases, soil or plant life has been removed.
But J. Allen Hynek, the father of modern UFO research, reported witnessing a flying saucer landing site in Canada that was suspiciously like the classic crop circles.
As though on a signal, all 5 of these objects rose straight up, as though on a signal, and where each one had been was a 9-foot circle of matted down grass.
Does this mean all such strange circles in the grass have been created by a UFO? Or is there another, more likely explanation that would describe all of these phenomena?
The official explanation from the British government is that these crop circles are actually formed by the wind. Presumably, we are led to believe that this is a rigorous wind system which etches the crop circles into the fields. The British government's whirlwind theory appears to have been accepted by everybody concerned, particularly, I think, the public, bearing in mind it in no way fulfills the mechanism which actually forms a whirlwind, i.e. they are formed by thermal inductance and appear during the daylight, and or in the lee of a hill. In southern England, we have very few hills, and most of the crop circles appear at night. Are we to believe that patterns as intricate as this are actually formed by some freak of the weather? Look at the way the grain is being woven and these precisely well-deformed edges. Well, no whirlwinds did these things, and it's absolute madness to pretend they did.
Does that mean that this pattern had to have been created by a mechanical object, piloted by some intelligent being? There are a variety of other theories about where the crop markings come from. One of the most recent explanations is that the markings are being made by the satellite-based weapons system developed for the American Strategic Defense Initiative, or SDI.
There is a theory that the SDI program, the government themselves, are actually employing high-tech equipment in space to etch into the fields of southern England and other parts of the world patterns of this kind. There are two reasons why I don't believe it's even a starter, is that we had reports of this phenomena in the same fields as we have them today in 1946. We didn't have the technology up there when they were first appearing. And the second, I think the most major point, is that these patterns could be laid into the fields of secure areas, of military establishments, testing areas. Be very simple, but these are appearing in public areas. Some of them are actually crossing major highways. I cannot begin to conceive of any Western government employing such technology in such an irresponsible manner. There are even those who put the theory forward that these things are formed by mating hedgehogs or porcupines rolling around in the field.
Are any of these theories any more credible than the belief that these are the landing sites of vehicles from another world? All of these theories overlook a much simpler possibility. Might these grain patterns be a simple hoax? In 1990, two Englishmen came forward with the confession that they had personally created the crop circles. But if Doug and Dave did do it, how did they get from England to America to Russia and back? How did they make as many as 15 crop circles in one night? How did they overlap the stalks without breaking them? How? It's the question we'll be trying to answer when UFO Diaries returns. While many believe that these mysterious markings in the wheat fields of southwest England were made by UFOs, there were others who claimed that the origins of crop circles were all too earthly.
Remember in the fall of 1991 when these two gentlemen in southern England were trotted out on the world media as the explanation for the crop circle mystery? Two guys who claim they did it all.
According to them, they had boards which they pushed down across the grain, and they just kept walking around in circles or whatever until they'd made the shapes they wanted. All of a big practical joke.
And for some reason, the worldwide network media accepted that
and announced to the world that the crop circle mystery had been solved.
There simply is no way that just two men could have possibly constructed all of these patterns, appearing on occasions 15 per day without getting caught at it. Plus, if hoaxers went out during the middle of the night just to make this, how on earth would they have possibly constructed a pattern like Barbary Castle during the shortest night of the British summer? It would have taken a team of hoaxers days, and it appeared simply overnight.
Crop circles like UFOs are a worldwide phenomenon. The U.S. and Canada, Australia, Japan, they're all over the place. I heard some reports about them in the Soviet Union as well, in the former Soviet Union. They're a worldwide phenomenon, and the idea that two old English barflies are flying all over the world creating these things is patently ridiculous.
Furthermore, many crop circle experts say the markings in the fields are perfect geometric figures, often accurate to within less than a quarter of an inch. And yet, is it not possible that all the crop markings really are hoaxes? Even if Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley didn't make all the crop circles, might not the real culprits be hundreds of hoaxers all over the world?
People that believe crop circles were made by human beings are overlooking some very important features of the crop circles. They are interwoven and intricately laid, not at all the way that they would be crushed to the ground if people stamped them.
And chemical analysis of grains from a field where a crop circle had appeared suggests another change that no human hand could have made.
Every plant on Earth has a distinctive energy pattern, and we have looked closely and compared the energy pattern of plants inside the crop circle with those outside as controls in the general area. And this was a non-conventional plant analysis process, but they nonetheless secured a starch crystal from a single plant inside a single crop circle, and discovered that looking through a microscope, the lattice structure was very different to anything they had ever seen before.
There are fundamental biochemical and biophysical changes at the respiratory cell level and the cell pit level of plants that cannot be hoaxed. Doug and Dave in southern England are not the explanation for formations that are worldwide, including rice paddies in Japan.
If the crop markings do form mathematically precise geometric symbols, and the plants inside have been laid in extremely complex patterns, and the organic matter of the plants has been chemically altered, then are we finally looking at indisputable evidence of some superhuman force at work? Many experts investigating the crop circle sites have detected evidence of intense microwave radiation not present in ordinary fields. Do the microwave traces prove an unearthly origin? After all, we currently use microwaves in applications ranging from cooking to telecommunications. Is it not possible that by some strange set of circumstances, microwaves such as those used for carrying telephone messages have somehow struck the ground instead of their receiving station? This would account for the silent and instantaneous arrival of the crop circles. If that is possible, should we now consider that perhaps UFOs are not necessarily connected with the crop circle phenomenon? And if we do, must we also dismiss photographs such as this? Hundreds of eyewitnesses have seen objects like this one in close proximity to crop circles, or to the place where a crop circle would later be found.
Well, I arrived at a field overlooking a wheat field, in fact, where there was a major crop circle at a place called Alton Barnes, very close to Stonehenge in England. There were 8 of us, scientists and engineers, some of whom are employed by the US government here. And what happened, great surprise, out of absolutely nowhere, swooped a large British military army helicopter, bristling with technology. But he came in very, very close to us. We had no idea what he was up to at the time. We thought maybe initially that he was taking photographs of the crop circles that were already there. But he came to within, I would estimate, 40 feet of our heads, and there was nothing short, I mean, it was nothing short of harassment. I think there was a major attempt to move us out of that area. I had no idea why they would want to do that, because I've lived there for 48 years. But as if one wasn't enough, and the downdraft literally was pushing the hedge row alongside onto our vehicle, a second one swooped in behind him. These army helicopters were pushing us, attempting to push us out of the area. As we moved up the highway, as a public highway close to this field, they followed us behind the hedgerow. But then we stopped, and one of them moved away rapidly from us over the top of this large pattern and moved up to approach a small sphere of light, pulsing. I would estimate it was probably 18 inches or so in diameter. It couldn't possibly have missed seeing it. And in one frame of the film has simply disappeared and is now behind the helicopter. The helicopter appears to maneuver itself on its own axis to get a better view of this. It's because it's been now behind it. And my assumption is that the second helicopter is being told to back his helicopter up as opposed to turn it, and reverses his helicopter until this ball of light is now right in front of him again. And it simply disappears. With that, they hung around the area for just a few more minutes, and both of them made away. It is obviously an assumption. If I were pushed hard on what I thought they were doing, I would be, I think, forced to say that it seemed as if we were unwelcome. We had walked into an area where they were already engaged in something involving this very small ball of light, which we have had reported to us many times by people in that area. And two major patterns were already in the field, and the following day, a number of more major patterns appeared in that same area.
What is it that the government knows and wants to keep us, the public, at a complete arm's length distance from? If they have an understanding of what type or types of non-human intelligence are interacting with our planet, I'm nervous about the fact that they have kept a policy of silence, disinformation, and ridicule on phenomena that they themselves have been studying intimately for 50 years.
Since the beginning of the 1990s, the overnight appearance of crop markings has been increasing geometrically. Now scarcely a day goes by in England that a new formation is not seen. Even more amazing has been the changes in the patterns. No longer simple circles and rings, the crop markings are now expanding, growing in size and complexity. If these markings are indeed the work of UFOs, then a sudden and remarkable change has taken place. In the past, it's always been believed that the pilots of these craft were endeavoring to visit the Earth in secret and to leave no trace. Now, you might say, it seems they're deliberately leaving their fingerprints at the scene of the crime. Why? Why would secret visitors from another world suddenly want us to know of their presence here? Intriguing evidence that someone is trying to communicate with us when UFO Diaries returns. Current evidence seems to suggest that crop markings are created by some kind of aerial phenomenon, possibly a flying craft of extraterrestrial origin. But do we know that for certain? Much of what we've learned about the formation of crop circles has been based on eyewitness testimony.
A young woman told us about a globe-shaped UFO from which came a beam of light she described as being brighter than white. A beam of light which struck down across the dark sky into a field near the ancient mound of Silbury Hill. In that field was discovered the next morning a Celtic cross pattern of crop circles.
Usually that's considered to be extremely good evidence, but in the case of crop markings, the most striking proof may come from what is not seen.
Several people claim to have witnessed the formation of crop circles and state they did not see any silver discs or globes or tubes floating in the sky above them. In fact, all they saw was absolutely nothing that was causing this effect. There was no whirlwind or anything like that. And so it truly seemed that the stalks of grain were simply falling over of their own accord.
We have more than 70 reports worldwide of people who claim to have seen things form. People describe frequently a buzzing sound. They will see the plants oscillating, whiplashing, and suddenly the effect takes place. And in less than 15 seconds, like opening up the fan, the plants are swirled and are lying to the ground. Many people describe seeing glowing lights, beams of light entering the area. Some describe as the golden ball of light enters the area, a loud explosion, a loud retort, a bang, at the same time as this particular effect takes place.
Do these experiences with an unseen force argue for or against the culprits being UFOs? After all, many witnesses have claimed to have been watching a UFO when it simply disappeared or became invisible. But then why would UFOs leave such an obvious sign and sometimes conceal themselves while doing it? Or is there some reason why the crop markings must be made without its source being detected? Perhaps the only evidence most people would believe would have to come from a team of recognized authorities who have actually witnessed the formation of a crop marking.
The Centre for Crop Circle Studies kept a close watch on the English countryside throughout the summer of 1991. On June the 22nd, 1991, 3 of the observers spotted a glowing orange or golden ball hovering in the sky, then moving away at a fantastic speed. Unfortunately, there were no crop markings that appeared on that night, but other markings had appeared on other occasions within just 1 kilometre of that location.
Then, Colin Andrews and his surveillance team were more fortunate.
We set up a sophisticated surveillance operation in 1991 in which we deployed radar, low-light cameras, infrared, and we even stationed some dogs from a nearby farm in the field there. We secured the whole field with security, intruder infrared beams, and we're convinced that no human being, certainly, could enter that area without us knowing about it. But early that morning, we had fog formed, and without any effect on any of the equipment, no radar returns whatsoever, from the center of that fog as it melted away was indeed this intricate pattern.
Is that the purpose of the crop markings? For everyone to see them? Are they a message to humankind from some other form of life?
As the years have gone by, the crop markings have been changing. They've been becoming increasingly complex and increasingly pictographic. In fact, many people now refer to all crop markings as agriglyphs, which simply means crop writings.
If these are deliberately formed symbols, then it does seem logical that they have some kind of meaning.
This is extraterrestrial, and this is communication.
But if they are messages from space, some kind of attempt to communicate with us through writing or art, what is it that they're trying to say? The race to learn the real meaning of these mysterious messages when UFO Diaries returns. If the agriglyphs are messages from some other life form, what do these messages say? And is there any way to decipher the code of the crop circles?
Many people believe that the meaning of the markings is related to the place where they are found. For example, in England, the vast majority of the markings have appeared in the area around Stonehenge, and also Silbury Hill, which is the oldest and the largest man-made mound in all of Europe. In fact, one of the most remarkable agriglyphs ever found appeared with its axis pointing directly towards Silbury Hill. Since we know that Stonehenge and Silbury Hill were the works of an ancient culture with a surprising knowledge of astronomy, we may wonder if whoever is making these symbols in the crops in this area didn't give them this knowledge thousands of years ago.
Could UFOs have been common visitors to southwest England throughout its history? If so, it might explain at least one curious coincidence. In the region of the June 1991 sighting of the golden balls in the sky, there are numerous hills that still carry the names they were given hundreds of years ago. Is it significant that one of those was long ago named Golden Ball Hill?
It is possible that someone has been trying to contact us for a long, long time, but that we haven't understood how to receive this message. I believe the crop markings are indeed messages, but not perhaps letters or words as we might think of them. I believe they are messages to the subconscious mind, a reminder of some deeply hidden part of ourselves that knows we are just one of many intelligent races in the universe.
These extraterrestrials have been manipulating life on this planet for eons.
If these are being formed by extraterrestrials, I guess we should at least be comforted in the fact that they have attempted at communication.
If these are communiques, what is the message? Are the governments of the world telling us all we need to know? Are we only now deciphering what may be a centuries-old warning?
As the crop circles increase in complexity, at some point